Hi, so this video was supposed to go up yesterday, but I didn't have any time to film because my roommate never left the room. So this is going to be, a little bit late, but you know what? Fuck it. Let's talk about Rush Limbaugh. Now, if you don't know by now, Rush Limbaugh was recently diagnosed with late stage lung cancer, and a lot of people are saying, it's kind of it's kind of bad to speak ill of the soon to be dead, but I think that uh, I have a little bit of a special point of view on this. You see, I'm not going to get into this right now because I think I'll wait until, I feel like my channel's stagnating and think, hey, how can I get a lot of views very easily? I know, I'll tell my sob story about how I used to be a conservative, and then I'll get a lot of attention for it. Anyway, what? So the so Rush Limbaugh, if you don't know, is a conservative radio talk show host. He's the guy who coined the term feminazi. If you don't know, he coined it back in the 90s, I think, to describe a woman who wanted to join the military, but I can't be sure. I do know that he coined it in the 90s, though. So that's generally the kind of person we're dealing with. He was one of the first people who came up with the birther myth, or at least one of the first people to spread it. And he's done a lot of really shitty racist things, but I'm not going to talk about that right now. I'm going to talk about his longer lasting impact on the American culture, because I don't think a lot of people know what an impact he had, and it's not a good one. So, like I said, I grew up conservative. My family is a very conservative family in southwestern Pennsylvania, and I grew up on a lot of Fox News. So for this, I do know what I'm talking about. So Rush Limbaugh had his radio show successful for a long while, and Fox News in the early aughts thought, hey, we gotta get in on this. I think that Rush turned them down for his own show, so they found the next best thing. Glenn Beck. Yeah, Glenn Beck, if you don't know who that is another conservative far-right talk show host who was hired for, I think it was called the Glenn Beck Show or something like that, on Fox News for a while, but he was eventually fired for being Glenn Beck. He's the guy who, whenever you see somebody make fun of a conservative for having the whiteboards and the chalkboards and stuff, that's Glenn Beck. He's a character. So that was the 7 o'clock slot, but the 8 o'clock slot was Bill O'Reilly. Now, if you don't know who Bill O'Reilly is, I am so jealous of you. He also, for about 20 years, ran an 10 years, something like that, ran an incredibly successful show on Fox News called The O'Reilly Factor, which ended when Fox News got tired of NDAs. When Fox News got tired of all the NDAs about working for or with Bill O'Reilly if you were a woman, because I think the lawsuits totaled about $30 million. And that was Bill O'Reilly. Now, Bill O'Reilly got in a dick measuring contest with Glenn Beck because they were the 7 and 8 o'clock slot, and a lot of people only had the wherewithal to watch this was back in like 2007, 2008. They only had the wherewithal to watch 1 hour of really far-right personality talk show. So usually Glenn Beck won out because it was the 7 o'clock slot, and so Bill O'Reilly, to catch up with Glenn Beck's success, started also spreading or being more mask off with his, racism and shit. So Bill O'Reilly goes mask off, and Glenn Beck gets fired, I believe, in about 2010 or 2011 for being Glenn Beck. He said he went a little too far on one of the conspiracy theories, but he was also one of the first people to push birtherism. And now that Glenn Beck was gone, they had a free 7 o'clock slot. And about the same time, the late Alan Colmes left Fox News, and his show with Sean Hannity called Hannity and Colmes. My mom hated that show because she hated Alan Colmes, so I barely ever watched it, but I think that was like the 6 o'clock slot. So whenever Alan Colmes left, Sean Hannity got his own show, and he was filling, again, the Glenn Beck demographic, because as this got more normalized, a lot of Fox News viewers were wanting to watch more of this mask-off stuff. So there you get Sean Hannity. Sean Hannity, the stuff he says on Fox News isn't even the worst. The worst stuff he says is on his radio show, and I've been subjected to that plenty. You don't want to hear it. So that's how we get there. Now, in 2016 or 2015, Bill O'Reilly lives in disgrace after being fired for being sued after paying $30 million in sexual harassment because he's a monster. And this was also the same year that Roger Ailes left for being a sexual harasser. So that's when we get Tucker Carlson. Now, Some More News did a really good breakdown on Tucker Carlson. He's pretty awful. He's always been pretty awful. But now that he was filling Bill O'Reilly's mask-off slot, Tucker Carlson didn't have to be respectable like he was on CNN or MSNBC anymore. He could be as mask-off as he was in those radio show clips. So that's how we get the current lineup of Fox News and how bloodthirsty they are, because Fox News hired Glenn Beck because they wanted the Rush Limbaugh market. Now, another thing is, I think in 2014, a lot of radio networks started pulling Rush Limbaugh's show because he's kind of a monster. Now, when Rush Limbaugh started being deplatformed, that left a lot of space for some new enterprising faces that I'm sure you've heard of, like Ben Shapiro, Steven Crowder, and the like. And also Glenn Beck's new radio show and, TV network called The Blaze, which I've seen a couple of videos. It's horrifying. It's way worse than Ben Shapiro. I have no idea. I think it's because Ben Shapiro is so easy to target with and make fun of, while The Blaze is just ugliness. There's no fun in making fun of it. So when Rush Limbaugh got deplatformed, there came the new guard of podcasters and radio show hosts, because Rush Limbaugh is still kind of an icon in conservative talk, but he's also pretty old, and he doesn't, ever debate anyone. So now with these newer people, you have Ben Shapiro and Steven Crowder going, debate me liberal and all that. So this is just a roundabout way of saying that Rush Limbaugh is an awful person, and you shouldn't feel bad for him because he has cancer, because He is probably the architect of the far right-wing media, both old media and new media, because they wanted to capitalize on his awful racism success. And yeah, I'm going to have some more videos, hopefully some more political videos, and that's it for me today. I will see you all next time because I have a feeling there will be multiple videos coming up this week. Alright, bye!